Y is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Did we get our applications in for the Tiramisu Festival?
No, we need to do that. That's our
Yeah.
other application.
Oh, because it's October 9th through 11th, so we're free.
Yes,
This is the Tiramisu World Cup, which I believe we've discussed before.
we definitely have, but I think we need to get our applications in because they're only looking for 100 judges.
Right. Oh, wait. Oh, it hasn't been opened yet. It says it's not yet time to apply as a judge for the Tiramisu World Cup 2026.
Oh, well, they
Okay.
just released the thing that said,
Right. Oh,
hmm,
there's a practice test. Oh, should we do the practice test?
let's do it.
Okay, it says this is just practice. This test is not valid for selection purposes. All right, email address, and then the city and country. Good old US of A.
Mhm.
All right, collect their privacy policy. Okay. There's 15 questions. Perfect. One, during the tasting, a judge clearly detects an ingredient that is not allowed and was not declared by the competitor. What is the correct procedure the judge must follow? A, leave the competition. So judge leaves the competition?
Right.
It's too much for me.
Done. How dare you put Kahlua in this?
I know. B, report the anomaly to the presenter so that it can be communicated to the judges and audience, but you're a judge. C, lower the score without reporting it. Or D, report this anomaly to the head judge, parentheses, president of the jury.
Report it to the head judge.
I think so, yeah. I wonder if they tell us if we did okay. No, we don't. Okay. In the original recipe, is it allowed to add flavors or extra ingredients? A, no, but edible decorations may be added on top. B, no, no additions are allowed. C, yes, but only spices. D, yes, as long as they have a safe word. No, as long as they do not alter the final taste.
Wait, what is what? But there's different rounds, remember?
Right, exactly.
The
So
first,
original recipe, I think
original
that's
recipe, then no alterations at all.
okay. Put that in there. Okay, here we go. Three, can a creative recipe competitor present their tiramisu in a cup placed on top of the competition plate provided by the organizer? A, if the cup is edible, the competitor may use it as an additional ingredient. B, yes, they can use any type of cup as long as its cleanliness has been verified by the staff or the judges. C, no, the creative recipe requires the exclusive use of the tools and ingredients provided by the organizer with the possible substitution of the biscuits and sugar. D, yes, they may place it as long as they may place it as long as it is not edible.
Probably edible if they count it as an ingredient.
I think so. All right. Which ingredients provided by the organizer can the creative recipe competitor substitute without them counting as additional ingredients? A, coffee and ladyfinger. B, coffee and cocoa. C, ladyfingers and white sugar. D, mascarpone and white sugar. I think that'd be the name of our cop show, by the way.
Mascarpone and white sugar.
Yeah.
I want to be mascarpone.
Mascarpone, white sugar, get in my office now.
That's
Chief's mad at
amazing.
us. Yeah.
Yes, I think that would be a great cop show for us.
Damn it, mascarpone and white sugar, your badges. You never play by the rules.
Never. We never do.
Yeah,
It's
it's just
either tiramisu or tequila every day.
every episode is just guns and
Mhm.
badges, please.
Yes.
Fine.
That's the whole episode. Nothing else happens. It's
And I
just
feel like you'd probably be like the one spinning the gun on the index finger.
no, I'd have it in my like thigh high in a holster.
Oh, that's true. That is very true. Yeah, yeah.
Totally. The thing
I'd
is
be the one spinning it on my finger.
totally.
Yeah.
This is Why, with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling.
I have so many questions and absolutely no questions at the exact same time.
Okay.
So, how does this thing come about? A Gettysburg diorama Great. Perfect idea. Diorama with cats. Great idea. This is the ultimate, Reese's peanut butter, chocolate my peanut butter. Where does this come from?
It really just kind of happened. So my twin sister and I started making these guys when we were 11. We always had cats as pets. And we pretty much catified everything when we were growing up. So playing outside in the backyard, we were always cats playing Robin Hood, and the imaginary bad guys were dogs. And so when we
Yeah.
were 11, I read biographies on Generals Robert E. Lee and Ulysses S. Grant. I liked the two generals, so I made them out of clay because we always made little things with clay, and they just automatically came out as cats in uniform with beards. And so then we just got into the Civil War, just reading the right books at the right age, and it took off from there because then you have to make the guys you like, and then you have to make guys for them to command. And so then a couple years into it, we started doing dioramas, and 30 years later, here we are. Um, so we grew up in the Philadelphia suburbs, and so we moved out here specifically to start the museum. And oh shucks, it's also my favorite battlefield. So let's move to Gettysburg.
That is amazing.
That is awesome. I wish when I was a kid, I got really into the Civil War too. I was way into North and South and way into Gone with the Wind.
Okay.
And the best I ever did was my best friend and I made a Gettysburg cake, and we used little stand-up ducks and pigs as and they were already created, but we thought that was the greatest thing ever. If we had known that someone out there is making an amazing museum with cats, we would have shifted our plans, I think.
So, so you're making dioramas, and the way you describe it, cats seems like the perfect way to go and makes complete sense. When did this become more than just we like building these dioramas, but let us recreate one of the most important battles in American history? Because
So
that's
our
that's a
dioramas,
really tall order.
Yeah.
we don't think that deeply. I mean, we really don't. People will ask, like, is there a deeper meaning? Like, war is a great cat fight. And we're like, nope. We
No.
were 11. That was it. So we've always liked taking the stories that we're reading that we find interesting, and then we make them into dioramas. So I think it's fun, like looking back, especially with our 30-year anniversary being last year, and realizing that the first diorama, I'm pretty sure it's our one of Stonewall Jackson getting his nickname at First Bull Run. And so even there, even though it's not to scale, even though, it's simple, just on a shelf of our bookcase, it was still telling a story that we had read about. And so then it's just a matter of making the various ones that we find interesting. Now, with Gettysburg being my favorite battle from very early on, we've always had a Pickett's Charge diorama, and then we have a whole lot of Gettysburg ones. I've actually realized that we do not have any major dioramas of Ruth's favorite battle. I don't know how that didn't happen, but I'm like, maybe we should make that a little bit higher on our priority. But in the meantime, I'm scratch building the ship USS Cumberland from wood, so it's going to be a while before we start another diorama. Um, but yeah, so like, you know, we're here in Gettysburg, and a lot of our dioramas are Gettysburg scenes, but not all of them are. We have, Fort Sumter and the battle between the ironclads and other, miscellaneous scenes that we've tripped across. Um, our first to scale diorama is the 54th Massachusetts attacking Battery Wagner. That's down in Charleston Harbor. They're one of Ruth's favorite regiments to read about. So someday we'd like to do a new version because that was made back in 99, 2000 timeframe when we didn't know about water effects. So the water is blue paper. So we would like to
Hmm.
do a new version someday in Fort Sumter scale. So we always have a wish list of dioramas that we want to do, but we'll get there someday.
Well, you talk about, picking, you get to pick, you're creating the guys you like, creating the guys you don't like. Is there an argument between which cat gets to be a particular? Are you guys pretty aligned on who gets to be General Lee or Grant or whomever?
Oh, well, we're making all of our cats out of modeling clay, so we just make them as whoever they're portraying. Yeah.
are you going to look like a cat that's more like a Persian, or is it going to look like a cat that's more like a calico?
Your tabbies, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
initially our cats, our original Leanne Grant just are made out of orange clay, so they're orange cats. But early on, we've got some Siamese cats, we've got some calico cats, um, brown cats. But eventually they just defaulted to white cats. And I think it might be because we did the 54th Massachusetts, which being a black regiment, they're black cats. And
Sure.
so I wonder if that's when it switched. The other thing too is when you're making them, for fun, um, it's a little bit different than making them for the diorama. So if you're just cranking out infantry for so and so to command, then you just, are like, hey, let's give, so and so calico cats or whatever. But when you're making, 3,000 for Pickett's charge, not that we
Right.
knew it would be that many, but it's just kind of simpler just to default to white. So I'm not sure what the reasoning what that was. I have no recollection of the transition. But nowadays we just do it straight white cats as the default.
And how much research do you do prior to building these? It,
So
you
it
know,
really depends on the scene. So
hmm
like one of our dioramas is a little rearguard action outside Shelbyville, Tennessee. Well, I mean, we read about it in a biography on General Forrest, and we kind of haven't found it anywhere else in particular. If you Google it, you get that book on our website. So it's one of those things where, with that one, we didn't try looking for, the topography of the area because we're like, I mean, what are the chances that Skull Camp Bridge is still there?
hmm
Apparently locals still know about it because we've actually had some fellows in from that area who are like, yeah, it's kind of steep like that, because the Confederates are jumping their horses 15 to 20 feet into the Duck River. Um, so anyway, so with that one, it's not a lot, and it's just a small scene. It's only involving, you know, about 60 Confederates total. I don't think we have all of them on our diorama either. Um, on the other end of the spectrum is Pickett's Charge and Little Round Top because I like Gettysburg. I have a lot of Gettysburg books. So generally when we are making a diorama, we go upstairs to our, 600 some Civil War books and pull out anything that covers the topic, and see what we can find. And so, with Pickett's Charge, I've got a lot. Um, and so then it's just a matter of reading through them, taking notes, and then you compile all the notes and try to make up a timeline. Because each book, you know, might have it's slightly different, but there are usually some major points where you can kind of align them. Um, and then it's just a matter of figuring out what specific point in time we want to show, because then you can decide where everybody is, which of the identified officers or men are on the diorama, who's off the diorama, who's been wounded already, who's not wounded yet, all of that sort of a thing. And then go from there. And then, like with Gettysburg, we have a set of topographical maps because our dad had the idea to buy them to help us make a base for Pickett's Charge. And so that's been really helpful, especially with Little Round Top, to get the topography based off of those maps, especially since when Sykes Avenue was put in over top of the hill, it changed the topography a little bit. Um, and then with Little Round Top, it was helpful to be able to go out there and take photos of the rocks because we have a few area shots from either around that time period or early 20th century up along the crest. But for the most part, like anything that shows the entire hill is taken from Devil's Den. And so like the whole hill is just very small in the background on a hazy day. And so it's just nice to be able to go out and take photos of the actual rocks and makes you appreciate battlefield preservation to be able to go and do that. Same
Yeah.
with Devil's Den, but those photos, period photos, are more helpful because those rocks are, yeah, more obvious in the photos and all.
Well, and given your love of the era and of fascination by the battles, uh, how does one? Let me see if I can. You're fascinated by this, and clearly your parents also encouraged this. right? Or was your dad just humoring you by like, fine, here's a
No,
topographical
no. It's
map?
funny when people ask like, "What did they think of?" And I'm like, "I really don't know. They just went along with it, you know." So yeah.
And you just, how long does it take you? Obviously, Gettysburg, any of these big battles that, and it's something true that you're passionate about, but your Fort Sumner, your, how long does it take to put one of these together between the researching, between the building of the map and then populating it?
So with the big infantry diagrams, like Pickett's charge, we'll generally say it was about 5 years, but we're working on it during college, and then we keep modifying it. So we don't keep track of like hours or anything, and we're usually doing other stuff while we're working on a diagram. Little Round Top it comparably should have been 6 or 7 years because it's got more rocks and trees, but about the same number of cats. But it ended up stretching to 11 years because we started the diorama and then unexpectedly bought the house and moved out here to Gettysburg to start the museum. So the diorama got thrown on the back burner. So it took longer. But yeah, I mean, I'm not the type to have the patience to spend like 20 years on a diorama. Like just one. It's not gonna happen. At least it hasn't happened yet.
No, you got
And
it.
I also trust like the historians that I'm reading that they did the research, so I don't feel the need to go to like the National Archives and dig up, all the battle reports or whatever. It's like that's if I wanted to just do one diorama for my entire life, and if I was hyper fixated on stuff, and I'm not quite like that. Uh,
And you said you're working on some, and you want to go back and revisit them. Are you constantly adding to the museum of different scenes? And can you give us a little hint of what might be joining the display?
Yeah, so with the museum, part of the reason why Little Round Top took 11 years is because we were also not only finishing a little bit, like the ironclads and their water effects, but also revamping and bringing out some of our older dioramas. So, for example, our cavalry battle always kind of flip-flopped between is it Brandy Station, is it East Cavalry Field? And so when we brought it out, we gave them a new base and decided to do East Cavalry Field because that's here at Gettysburg and it's kind of off the beaten track. People don't really know it's out there 4 miles outside town. And so we wanted to bring a little more attention to that part of the battle here. Um, so with that one, they just were never anchored down and stuff. We would just set up each battle differently when we would put them on display. We worked at a retirement community in high school and at college, and so we would take our dioramas over to display for them for the residents. And so that's why I'm saying the cavalry kind of flip-flop back and forth each year.
Hmm.
Um, Pickett's charge keeps getting modified, partly because its point in time keeps shifting slightly. And then also when we started it, we didn't have a good ground cover for 1 inch tall cats. And so when we discovered turf, which is basically little specks of styrofoam, when we discovered turf, we actually came back and added that to the diorama. It was just painted green originally. And so while we were in the process of doing that, I realized that we had lost the list of identified officers and men on the diorama, so I had to reread all my books and recreate the list. And then I found the original list anyway. But while rereading all of the books in a close succession, I kind of reached different conclusions than I had 11 years earlier. And so now I'm thinking, wait a second, when it says 150 to 200 Confederates followed General Armistead across the wall, originally we were thinking that's all of them. And we dutifully only put 200 guys across the wall. And it's just not very many given the actual size that we're talking when it's to scale. And you're going off of, the actual maps and all. And so when I reread everything, I'm thinking, no, that's probably more of a spearhead following him and not counting any that are getting into the copse of trees further over to the right a little bit. And on top of that, we realized that not everyone follows Armistead. Most of the division stays stalled out behind the wall because all three of the brigades of the division are jumbled up together because of Union troops coming in on their flank. And so now I'm like, we need to add 1,000 Confederates along the wall. And so, did that. And then it means shuffling the guys inside the angle, which took a while just for me to get back to figuring out, of the various identified officers on there and men, like who can I move and who can I not move? Like why did we decide to put them where and stuff. So we finally made that last modification, but it just took us a while to get around to it. The cats on that diorama are non-hardening clay, but 25 years later they're a bit dried out, so you kind of have to negotiate with them, like, hey, would you like to change your pose? And the cat's like, nope.
No.
I'm like, okay.
Cat like.
Well, and just that in itself, taking 11 years, how often do you, in building one of these and putting this all together and doing all of this research to make sure it is as accurate as you can make it, do you or your sister just look to each other or think to yourself, I'm making cats, and just start being like, this is amazing. I'm just making cats.
So it's funny because for the two of us, it's just second nature and it's just what we do. So we just talk about our guys all the time and personify them. And so it was really kind of funny when we opened the museum, because then people would come in and they're looking at Pickett's charge, which is the first diorama really that you see. And they're looking at the casualties. They're, reacting like they're bleeding furry things with whiskers and stuff, and commenting also about how that helps them kind of realize then about the men involved, when they realize, wait, these are representing men. So that was a cool reaction that I hadn't expected. Anyway, so I'm standing there while they're looking at them like that. And at the time we had a cat. She was 16 and arthritic, so she couldn't jump on the dioramas and she couldn't run out the front door. So she was a great museum cat. So I'm kind of looking at the diorama and I'm looking at Kitty and I'm going, huh, oh yeah, they're cats. Like, Kitty's a cat. Oh, that's so funny. Because after 20 years of making them,
Yeah.
I'm just making General so-and-so, Lieutenant so-and-so, this many Yankees, that many Confederates, and I'm not even thinking about how I'm putting cat ears and a tail on them. I'm just making the guys.
Right.
It's just automatic. And so it's just kind of funny because no, we don't. But every now and then, yeah, I mean, you step back and you look at the dioramas and stuff and you're like, oh, you guys are kind of cool or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Or you
and
can go the other way and look at them and be like, wow, guys, I don't know how everybody's like so amazed with you or whatever. I mean, you're just like,
yeah, and
At the ladder.
and maybe John Sedgwick did have a tail. We don't know in
Yeah.
so many ways.
Probably not, because I'm not sure that like anything would have happened. I mean, our cats just overthink things so much that there's no way that Aubrey could lead a campaign unless he's Sickles. Like, he would probably be a pretty good Sickles who doesn't really have a brain. But anyway,
Have you?
Kenzie might be able to. Kenzie and Aubrey are our two current cats, but they're not down in the museum because they would destroy everything. Yeah.
So they're not ready for the museum cat position.
No. So we have a dog. Our dog, Joni, is museum dog.
Perfect.
Perfect. Have you had, or you must have had, Civil War, certainly aficionados, experts, historians, Ken Burns, come by and look at this, and what do they make of it? And please tell
We
me
haven't
Ken
had
Burns
Ken
has.
Burns yet.
Oh, damn it. Okay. You got to work on that. That's good. You got to make that happen.
Yeah, it's always fun when we have like a licensed battlefield guide or a park ranger come in, or even just, someone who's just really into the Civil War. Because they do appreciate like seeing all the research that's gone into them and being able to see the battlefield populated. Gettysburg and Pickett's Charge and Little Round Top being our two major dioramas. I think they enjoy being able to see like where the various, officers that, are well known to them are and all that sort of a thing. So yeah, I mean, we've gotten good feedback, from them when we have them in.
Does it get heated in the discussions? You said with, I think it was Pickett's Charge, where you're like, maybe there's more than 150, troops here, on that debate over your decision to stage something a particular way, or is it
Heated between me and Ruth, or
well,
between us and visitors?
I was going to say visitors, but you and Ruth, I mean, and you got a history to draw on. I mean,
Right.
you've known each other a while.
So, yeah, I'm 10 minutes older, so it's been a while.
Yeah. Happiest 10 minutes of your life. Yeah.
Yeah. we really haven't had anyone, call us out on like various details of the dioramas. And if they were to, generally speaking, we can explain this, that, or the other thing. So like kind of the biggest things I can think of is the one time one person suggested we had too many in the 20th Maine. Now, at the time, I was working a day job, so I wasn't around to defend my numbers or anything like that. Ruth had to answer the question. But I mean, really looking at the numbers in the various books, the 20th Maine is not as small as we all think after watching the movie.
Hmm.
It has about 400, just over 400. Our cats are a little bit chunky, so they kind of look a little bit bigger also. So I don't think that helps the cats. But as far as numbers go, we didn't overdo it on that front. Um, and then the only other thing I would say is the one time that a photo of Pickett's charge um kind of went a little bit viral on online, Instagram, I think. And so the comments were talking about, what are the skirmishers out in front and all that sort of thing. So I tried explaining that. So first of all, they need to move. Um, and second of all, those are the guys following Armistead. Like the wall is back where and yeah, I don't think the person posting the comment read my reply. They just responded to it, and I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there for anybody who wants to know. But
Yeah. And for the two of you as historians who people, as people who love this stuff so much, what is it like being in Gettysburg? And the museum is located in a house from around that era as well. So you've got this historic house that you get to have this museum in, and you're surrounded by all of this history. And there it all is laid out in front of you in these dioramas. What's it like just being so completely, entrenched and surrounded by that kind of history?
yeah, it's really cool for us every now and then we'll be like walking in town, or I mean, we're right here on Cemetery Hill, so it's easy to get over to Culp's Hill, or we're a 15-minute walk from the Angle. And so it's just cool being able to get out on the battlefield right away. And living here day to day, you just get lost in the grind. But now and then, you poke your head up and look around, and you're like, we're in Gettysburg. Like,
Yeah.
this is like a dream come true. We're in Gettysburg, and yeah, and then when we were looking to buy this house, we didn't even realize that it was related to the story of Sergeant Amos Humiston and the orphanage that came out of his story. We're the girls' dormitory for it. And so that was really cool. And, Ruth's reading the plaque out front on the sidewalk, and she's like, wait, the house we're looking to buy is related to that story? It's like, what? And so that's really cool. He was a Union soldier who was killed up in town on the first day as the Union is retreating through the town. And the only way to identify his body was a photo of three children that he was holding. And so then a doctor from Philadelphia ended up with the photo and the idea to track down the family by spreading like articles and copies of the photo throughout the North. And so by the time they found his wife Felinda and the kids, they had the idea of starting an orphanage. And so that building is the one next door to us. And then our house was built in 1869 to expand it. Um, we actually got moved catty corner forward in 1903. So we're a little bit different than the period photos back then, but yeah.
And you're talking about a historic home that's been here for hundreds of years. You're talking about a place that a great many people died. So obviously, the next question has to be any ghosts, specters, any sort of spooky
Knew that was coming.
encounters. Yeah, I mean, come on.
We're not really into the ghost thing. And so it's kind of funny because our house is a stop on the ghost tours.
Oh, it is. Of course it is.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so now and then you get someone who stayed here because it was tourist lodging for the last century. And so they'll tell us some story or something. Somebody was shaking the bed, but my
No one's
sister
in the
was
room.
asleep, kind of thing, whatever.
Yeah.
We're like, okay. Um, but yeah, we're not really into that. So
Do either
yeah.
one of you just occasionally put on a bed sheet and just run around in the windows to freak out the ghost tours?
So it's kind of funny because we do allow one ghost tour to go in our backyard. We have like an agreement with them, and So whenever we have company over, the kids are always like the nieces and nephews are always talking about like going out there, and I'm like, no, no, they actually like kind of pay to be able to go back there. Like, don't
Right.
bug them.
Yeah.
Right.
For more information on the Civil War Tales Museum located in beautiful Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, check out their website, Civil War Tales, that's TAILS.com.
Nigel, is that you? Are you here, Nigel?